him. Yeah.
Hey, Dylan.
Yeah,
Better.
brother.
Yeah.
I think earlier you were going to talk a little bit more about the direct experience and maybe some techniques that you use to kind of
Yeah.
get there. I was just
Yeah.
curious if you would share.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say I don't know where there is exactly. Like, I don't know that I'm there, or you do know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I still suffer. I've heard of like there's no more suffering. That's not where I am at. I still suffer.
Mm,
Suffering still existent for me and it's still a reality. So if that's a claim that spiritual masters or the Buddha have, and that's enlightenment, I don't have that. So let's start right there. I definitely suffer. And for me, it was kind of a whole confluence of events. So one, there was an instinct that I had to separate myself from my life as I knew it. I like wasn't talking to any of my friends. I wasn't talking to my family. I wasn't doing anything that I normally associate with. And I was in this relationship with this woman who was always talking about God, was always talking about service, and always talking about service, really, and surrender. That was her word: surrender, 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 surrender. And around this time, I had started listening to Muji, a popular spiritual teacher. You can find him on YouTube. He's like this Jamaican guy that kind of has this culty uh, church thing in Portugal. And I learned specific practices from him. His teacher was a guy named Papaji, and Papaji's teacher was Ramana Maharshi. And Ramana Maharshi is a very popular, well-known Indian saint from the 20th century. And Ramana Maharshi has a story of ecstatic spiritual awakening when he was like 15, where he had a near-death experience and he just combusted into this energetic state that completely changed him. And he was like, he didn't even tend to his body for like a long time. He had like fucking like maggots infestations in his legs and shit because he was just sitting there like gone but totally present. And Ramana Maharshi taught this idea of a self-inquiry. In self-inquiry, there's self, okay, here's myself, and inquiry is to question. And so around this time, I was looking at this whole idea of like, here's this woman, and she seems like she's not giving me the love I want. And that's really frustrating and unsatisfying. For me, I feel very unsatisfied. And she keeps talking about surrender, and God and surrender feels more important to her than I do to her. And that's weird. I think we're supposed to be more important to each other, right? So around this time, I became so unsatisfied, so dissatisfied with my experience of life and myself. And I was peeking into these techniques from this yoga teacher, Muji. I then started becoming very sincere. This was the main thing. I developed total sincerity for the desire to experience love itself and the truth of life. Like my desire was completely sincere. I prioritized that above all else. And when I look back, I see life was kind of setting me up that way. And so what I started doing was I spent a lot of time in prayer and meditation. And my prayer was basically, I am nothing. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm fucking nothing. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm a beggar. I'm broken. I'm poor. I'm homeless. I'm empty. I'm nothing. And I just kept like breaking myself down, smashing myself down, literally. Like I wouldn't talk to people. I would just sit there and just like destroy myself, basically. I was destroying myself, pounding myself into smithereens, but praying, praying, going to God. And then also using meditative techniques, which is yarnan, which is where you look for yourself. I would sit there and I would close my eyes, and in my direct experience, I would use the illuminatory flashlight of my awareness to look for myself in my experience. And what did I find? Thoughts, feelings, energy, sensations. And anytime I thought I would find myself, I would realize I'm the one who's observing myself. So, how can that be me if I'm the one who's aware of it? I'm like, oh, there's me. I'm like, oh, how's that me though if I'm me looking at me? Which one's me? And I'm like, oh, these are just thoughts that are identifying sensations in my experience as me.
Mhm.
And as I looked, I just kept looking, I kept staying with it. And there's a ton of resistance. My mind's like, oh, go to sleep, get angry. Fuck this. We're not doing this. So much resistance. And I was like, no, we're looking at this thing. What is me? What is I? I just stayed with I and me until eventually, with prayer and sincere desire and a ton of suffering, I was in a ton of pain. Things just started to open and combust. And then I think that's when I had like the, you know, prototypical spiritual awakening experience where I had, ecstatic oneness with all of life and God for like, honestly, since then, I don't like, since I spent so much time working that, looking for the self and seeing that it wasn't a real substantial thing, meditation became spontaneous for me. I stopped having to try to meditate. Meditation just became the natural way of what I am. And to this day, it's still that way. I don't really meditate. Meditating does me. I don't like it, just comes. It's like a visitor. It just comes and it just opens me and it sets me right. And if I go my own way, I fuck everything up. But then meditation or God, life comes in and it just like heals me and sets me straight. And all of that I would call spiritual surrender. Um, and it did take a bunch of work and some great guidance and understanding some principles. I've studied yoga, I've studied Buddhism, I've studied religion, I've studied mythologies, I have a philosophy degree. So all of that stuff compounds and adds to the seeking. But the main thing is the seeking. I'm seeking. And I get some techniques and some pointers that help with the seeking. But the main thing is to seek and seek and seek and be committed to that seeking, knowing that there's something there for you to find. And don't give up until you get it. And keep going, keep going, keep going. That's all I got. That's everything.
That's amazing. And I experienced somewhat similar experiences. So you looking for the thinker, looking for the looker, look for the looker, those types of things for sure. Um, so I appreciate you sharing that, and I know that I think that will affect my journey as well. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, brother. Thanks for asking. It's very rare that I get that question sincerely. It's rare. It doesn't really happen. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to express it, to speak it, because I don't get that opportunity very much. Because I don't meet many people that are really ready for that and wanting it. So thank you.
I've heard that piece of what I'm calling logic about it seems like this important moment for people. They're like, if I am the one who's looking, then how can I be the one who's being looked at? And I witness people being so clear about that. And it struck me a couple times on this call that logic is this incredibly powerful capacity that we have. It's like this piece of bedrock until it isn't. but
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So
It's a paradox.
you are fucking on it. This is using the most supreme form of logic to upend the paradigm of logic itself. It's about transcending reason. Because your reason is what keeps you stuck, keeps anybody stuck within their reality. Because their reason is their understanding. It's about transcending your own understanding of what's true, which is coming into the mystery, which is I don't know. That's the best. Those are, if I could put it all into
Mm.
3 words, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. Not me, and I don't know, and I don't fucking get it. I don't even get it. End of the day, I don't even get it.
Start thinking
Yeah.
about if your cat has a sense of self, and then you'll really freak yourself out.